Fabio Salbitano from Italy, professor in Sassari University at the moment. We'll talk about sustainable urban forest for the cities of tomorrow, challenges, innovative processes and techniques. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation to the EAO. I think that is a very exciting experience to be here. And I would like to thank all of you, particularly the organizers and the people like Katarzyna or Susanna that make all the effort to be here. Okay, I will try to approach, let's see if it works. No? Okay.
The other button. The other one. That one?
This one, okay. Shifting the interest from the arboriculture, more specific issue, to the question that are linking trees, forests, and cities. I think there are some issues that need to be focused very clearly. First of all, the fact that cities, forests, and trees live together since the beginning of city adventure, urban adventure. Cities needed trees, wood, for many aspects, many benefits. Now we are rediscovering the wheel, reinventing the wheel with ecosystem services. But this strong link between human beings and trees, nature, is very profound in our social and cultural development. And the fact that, as was quoting Patrick Geddes in the beginning of the 20th century, a city is more than a place in space, is a drama in time. This very link in terms of recognizing which is the dynamic of relationship between city and the nature that is hosting the cities. Cities are hosted by nature and not the opposite. When we plant a tree in a city, we are not finding a place for a tree. We are just recalling which is the nature that is hosting the city. And this has many implications, not in naturalistic or environmentalistic terms, but from, for example, a design point of view. How do we design the cities? How do we design the relationship between buildings, built areas, and non-built areas? So we can think to the fact that we need to have a relationship with the forest and back, city call forest and back. And this is, again, an aspect that needs to be taken in mind even when we speak about one single tree. There was a very nice Dr. Arthizio, a friend of mine from Belgium, that was a tree at the doorstep, a forest in my mind. Because we have always to remember that a tree is part of a forest. And a forest is not just the mere sum of some trees. It's an ecosystem. And the trees are meta-ecosystems in some ways by their own, and are also part of the entire system. This is the reason why we speak about the urban forest, and how urban forests can be useful in terms of contrasting, combating, which are the environmental crises we are approaching in the world. The study of the Stockholm Resilience Center research group in Sweden that is pointing out which are the so-called boundaries, environmental boundaries at planetarian level, and what is happening and what we have to do to solve that. So when we speak about the themes I propose about sustainability, challenges of urban forests and so on, please just pose to yourself now a question. Which are, in your opinion, the emergent aspects in terms of urban forest and cities? I will come back to you in a while to ask which are your reflections. But then we see that there are some dramatic aspects in terms of which is the footprint of cities in the world that is much more than a physical footprint. According to research we made, we got that in Europe, even if, let's say, only the 75% of people live in cities, the 98% of people thinks urban, behave urban, in terms of where they buy the food, how they grow the children, how they move from one place to another. So this is something that you have to keep in mind. So we need to test solutions for advancing a livable planet, and implementing and monitoring. Very often we do not think that any kind of management, planning, design requires monitoring, being to be nurtured by which are the actual data we are collecting in terms of reshaping our management, reshaping our design. I will come back in a while to those concepts. But then, for example, this is a sample of Medellin in Colombia, that now is a very claimed example that the city invested in green areas so to cool the microclimate, mesoclimate in this sense of Medellin of 2 degrees in the last years. Of course, we are looking to some information, announcement. Very often we need to go through and understand which is the scientific reality of all this. I will come back about the numbers, because we give a lot of numbers. Somebody was claiming about the billion, trillion trees that we are planting around. I will come back to that, because there are some very interesting figures in what is happening with all these campaign of tree plantings. But then we start always from the same framework, the framework of ecosystem services. Ecosystem services are the services we need from the forest and the trees. The forest and the trees, they do not need anything from us. So let's see which global initiatives we have. Of course, I'm Italian, but I work quite globally in the last 30 years of my life. This is the new urban agenda, Quito 2016. Many issues are very linked to trees, urban forests, greenery in cities. And this is the core area in terms of improvement of the quality of life of the cities. This is just some of the outputs that FAO, the United Nations Agency for Food and Agriculture, is putting in place to support the urban forest activities. Like the series of the World Forum. The last one we had, somebody of you was there, the last one we had in Washington, D.C. last October 23. And now we are planning to have the next one in 26 in Hong Kong or in China. We still have to define the place. So the global networking is a way to exchange ideas, exchange new aspects, challenges, what we can do, how we can improve. And we also did it at regional level. We have some FAO regional fora, like the Mediterranean Forum on Urban Forestry, the Asia-Pacific Forum, the Africa Forum, the Latin American and Caribbean. But they, we just copied, not pasted, but copied, the idea of the European Forum of Urban Forest. This is the one we had in Zagreb some weeks ago. The one was Goran was presenting before. And that is the forum, of the first forum all over the world in continental terms about urban forests. It was launched more than 25 years ago and is still going every year, where we can meet all the other colleagues and friends practitioners or researchers dealing with urban forestry. And we have some programs. You were speaking about the capital this morning, the European tree capital. And there is also the program Tree Cities of the World. That is a joint program with the Food and Agriculture Organization, Arbor Day Foundation in the United States. And it's a very simple program. It's requiring 5 standards: having a regulation, having investment, personnel, defining a day to celebrate trees, and providing an inventory. That is exactly what Jelena was presenting this morning about the city that won the prize. And also supporting the knowledge. This is a new module that we just finished of the e-learning academy of FAO on an introduction to urban and peri-urban forestry. So many things, also many programs like the Green City initiatives. I will go through the video that I prepared for this, but you will have, if the presentation will be spread out. But it's a very interesting program in terms of supporting not only new forest, new plantation, but the optimal management and improvement of the existing ones that we often forget that we need to do it. So, which are the key questions? Will urban and peri-urban forests save our cities? Will urban and peri-urban forests save ultimately the human beings and the planet? No. No. Well, it's not a magic one. It's just a way to stay better, be better. So let's speak about. And which are the emerging challenges? Did you think about what I asked you before? In your opinion, which are the most challenging part we have to approach from now to the future about urban forests? Somebody want to say a word?
Well, water will be.
Water is one.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Any other? Yeah? Don't be shy. No vote at the end of the presentation. Soil. This is key. If we think on all the rhetoric about the green and blue infrastructure, we always forget that the brown infrastructure is the most important. Why don't we speak about the brown infrastructure?
Root management, I would call it.
The root management, of course, it is very linked to the soil and is very linked to the functioning of the urban forest as an ecosystem. What else? Air quality, or?
Heat, temperature.
Yeah, all the aspect of climate change effects. Let's go like that, a big family of effects, not only heat, not only air pollution, not only air quality for breathing, and so on. So, just to go, so we have the global warming. I call it global because often we spoke about the global warming, but then we have effects, severe effects at local level. Very important. So we need to have an approach in terms of knowledge and also an approach in terms of policies, governance that is multiscalar, not only at some scale, because all is related. Then we get the health, pollution, resources, energy. Energy dissipation is one of the key aspects in terms of overheating. And so it's translating in a discomfort, a thermal discomfort. Is what exactly we perceive the most of the days in summer now, at least in some areas of the world. And so we have to approach that. Desertification and drylands, water again. We have in the Mediterranean so the area where Zadar is, and many other parts of the world, at least the 10% of land that is under desertification. And we are feeling, approaching daily, in Sicily, in Eastern Italy, now the tourists are going back at home because they have no water to drink, no water to wash. It's not something, theoretical. Social inclusion, nature and culture. We heard the fantastic contribution by the French friend this morning. And that is key again. We are in a changing world, like all the ages were changing during the history of the world. But now we move more rapidly, so even the cultural changes are much more rapid. And I think that nature and culture together can give a very good sense to many things. I was reflecting and I was telling to the French friend this morning, which is the only one aspect of the urban landscapes in Europe that is common. We have just one aspect that is common in urban landscape. Plain. We have plains in Madrid, in Barcelona, in Berlin, in Zadar, in Rome, in Catania, in Stockholm. And that is something that is very linked profoundly with the culture, with our history of relationships, even of invasions, because we have a lot of facts in the history that are conditioning this. But think about that, this is quite important. And then we have all this knowledge sharing, collaboration, governance, partnership, community engagement, equity, lifelong learning approach. Not only capacity building from a technical point of view, but what was the presentation this morning for the capital of tree in Europe? Learning with people together about trees. During this process, the European Forest Institute is one of the major, maybe the major research institute on forests in Europe, launched a program on biocities. And now we have an office in Rome that is the facility biocities by the European Forest Institute. Just opened some month, no more. And then we wrote a book to prepare this program with different chapters. Of course, I will not go through the book. I will not start to read the book now to you because it's a bit too long. But in any case, there are some, I want just to pick some aspects. For example, the European policies that are linking cities, urban forests, and green. If we start just from 1997, so yesterday, not very long time ago, the increasing pattern, complication pattern of policies that are in some way dealing with and conditioning urban policies is quite impressive. What was grown in an amazing way is the knowledge about the ecophysiological aspects, which are the fluxes, what is changing in terms of emissions, pollutants, carbon sequestration. And now, according to a work did with the European Space Agency, next year will be launched the first satellite that is checking photosynthesis from Earth observation devices. This is coming to be key in terms of improving the knowledge of these kind of systems. And this is very useful to plan, design, and manage better the trees in the cities and the urban forest, because we know better where we need to put efforts. Also from a budget point of view, a municipality have a limited budget. have to decide which are the priorities. And so these kind of tools, and we have many that are growing day by day, are very useful in terms of improving this aspect. A tremendous amount of work on health. Initially, we were oriented only to the non-communicable diseases, like cancer, diabetes, cardiovascular diseases. Now, there are many research that are also putting in place the advantage of having biodiversity in terms of controlling the microbiomes, and so the epidemic diseases. And they are really very good news in terms of what we are launching as solution. Not only the forest therapy in a more naive way, but designing health parks, places where you can really have a control from an health service point of view in terms of recovery therapies, accompanying aspects like the Alzheimer gardens, and so on. So there are many implementation in these. As well as the social aspects. And then was one of the by-effect of the COVID-19. The need of green areas was felt as one of the crises during the lockdown period in those days. And never forgetting the fact that any biocity belongs to a bioregion. Again, no limit, no borders. The systemic approach needs to be also in terms of which are the relationship between the city and the regional land. And the pathway of transition is very looking to what we call the forest analog. Think the city as a forest, competing or collaborating, processing together, dynamic, moving, changing, but always with a net view, a clear view of which is the balance, which is the steady state to which try to go. Never be stable. We have no stability in any ecological system, but you can go toward that. So we have some tools and processes. Very often we are crazy for the nature-based solutions. Now, there are no call of European Union that has now the nature-based solution as a keyword. Will pass. It's just one of the, but we have a lot of solutions that can be useful if we learn to use properly. The Earth observation aspects. There's some data that we use for the Green Plan of Florence, grouping the land surface temperature in 4 years periods in terms of indicating which are the areas where it's more urgent to proceed with planting, for example, or changing the permeability of the soil, improving the humidity in the atmosphere, and so on. Mapping the pollutants, again in terms of air quality, and where we need to have more action in that is a work done on Milan area, a very polluted area, where we can check which are the best aspects to see, but also trying to get an analysis of the health status of single trees by checking the dynamic of NDVI during time and looking how the single tree is responding to an health status. Or trying to facilitate some part of the inventory by using training by inventories of trees, and then indicating with some LiDAR images which are the crown, the height of the trees, and then completing inventories, for example, in private areas where we don't get any inventory data and we need, for example, for calculating which is the carbon stocked or the pollution removed. So all this needs a governance approach with different arrangements of tools and processes. And this is another challenge and something that from a technical point of view we need to explore and make more easy to apply. Having well-shaped, which is the governance in a city. I love this morning when Elena showed the table, the multidisciplinary table, because we need also people from the social sciences, from the policy sciences in these interdisciplinary tables. We need an integrated view of the facts if we want to achieve some results. And then we have the afforestation campaigns. 1 trillion trees. 1 trillion trees, that is 1,000 billion trees, was the challenge by Bastin in 2019. That was also took and displayed in urban and peri-urban areas, just going down to, well, not 1 trillion, but 300 billion trees. So we are giving numbers, not facts and processes. In the world, we have 3,000 billion trees. So that means 3 trillion trees. Planting 1 trillion trees more means to cover an area that is almost 3 times Europe as size. Planting trees. And having nurseries are producing trees to cover an area that is 3 times Europe. And then having personnel to plant, to manage. Because I can say something rude, I don't give a damn about having a tree. I want to see the tree working, living well, being happy in the place where we planted, and producing benefits and ecosystem servicing, because if we plant to solve these. So I have the impression that very often we forget the fact that it's not just planting a number of trees that we obtain results, but is understanding which are the processes and working together from different positions to improve also the potential effects of climate change. There are very nice examples of urban regeneration, ecological restoration, like the High Line of New York, relax and sport, health and forest therapy, as we saw, natural and culture. So we have many examples of this. So we have just to go through and just put in place the different aspects that we can do and start to do it. Collaborative design, for example, is not difficult to do. But you have to be clear, prepared, know that you need some rule of the games, that the people knows what is achieving when is included in a process like this, that there is a commitment to have some goals that are implemented, but we can do it. We need to think to the design not like a old-fashioned design, like drawing something in a piece of paper, but having an evolutionary design. Any landscape design evolves during time. And so we need to be prepared and trained to do this kind of design in evolutionary terms. As for the adaptive management, which is one of the most important maintenance issues you encounter in the cities now. Pruning, no? All the people want that you prune the trees, but when you prune the trees, you say, oh, why you prune the trees? Yeah. So decided, I have to prune or not to prune. But can we adapt or find ways of adaptive pruning? This is, from a technical point of view, very challenging, but I think we have the answer as arborists to do a good job in terms of adaptive maintenance and adaptive management. Also providing different scenarios to implement this circular flux that is linking adaptive management with lifelong learning design through monitoring. So, and then many other things like the community engagement, the capacity building, alliances and partnership, networking. But I think I finished my time, so thank you very much.